So you came in at what age?
16. My mom dropped me off. When I talk about culture shock,
Yeah.
academics is a culture shock. Believe it or not. Coming to Canada's international sense is more than just your academics.
Yeah.
Those grades will not help you. Oh God.
Oh my God, you want to say that again?
It won't help you life. It won't help your destiny. It won't help
Really?
you. It won't help you. What will help you is you being streetwise. The educational space when you first come to Canada or wherever you go, it's almost like a playground for you. There's no risk.
There's no risk.
There's no risk.
That's so
you
true.
can do whatever you
Right.
like. One of my professors, she had said something to me that at the time really offended me. She was like, maybe you should go into the English second language class. And in my mind, I said, I don't know how to explain
Yeah,
this
I mean,
to
English
you,
is my
but
first language.
yes,
My first language.
yeah. I'm not just helping international students survive. I'm helping them thrive.
Right.
A lot of international students are survival mode. That's not what meant to be.
Echo your stories that ignite a fire inside.
Welcome to another episode of Echoes Wellington, and I'm excited about this conversation we're about to be having because it's a new flavor. First of all, I'd like to appreciate everybody for your support and how you've given us good feedback, the acceptance of this platform and the stories we share. We can tell for sure that a lot of you resonate with our stories because, again, like I always say, the individual experience of one immigrant in the diaspora is a shared experience. It's not just peculiar to one person. And as we get to share our stories, you are encouraging somebody who is down, letting them know that there is hope. They find strength, they find encouragement, they find inspiration in one immigrant story, and they're able to hold on and push, into the next day. And for those of us that are doing very well and have good experiences to share, you also share the good side of your lived experiences in the diaspora. And and somebody also is hopeful that they too will get to that level. And that's the reason why we're having this conversation. And so today, I'm really excited about my guest. My guest is, this guest is, how would I put it now, is breaking a record on this show, being the first female guest that is sitting with me on this couch to have this conversation. Somebody asked me one time and they said, "Is it only men you're interviewing?" And I said, "No, this is not the men's stuff. This is for immigrants." And so today we have a lady who is doing great stuff, who has some very good experience to share. Her story is unique, and I'm sure that I will speak to so many of us in the diaspora and even those of us in Africa, because her story is really unique, and I know that we're going to learn a lot from her story. This guest of mine also has written a book, which we're also going to talk about, and it's really insightful. And I know that in the course of this conversation, we'll throw some light into the content of this book. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome to this conversation Timiloluwa Akinroye.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Did I pronounce the name well?
Yes, Timiloluwa.
Akinroye.
Timmy. Yeah,
Akinroye.
Akinroye. Yes.
Timiloluwa Akinroye.
Yes.
The author of the book, A Word for an International Student.
Yes.
A Word for an International Student. Whoa, this is powerful. This is powerful. So we're going to talk about this in a bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So Temi, thank you so much for coming to have this conversation with me. Wow, I can tell that you're a very pleasant human being, just from the backstage conversation we've had. And I know that this is going to be an insightful conversation. And so thank you once again for agreeing to come have this chat with me, right? Yeah, so if you look at Temi's face, you can tell that Temi is still pretty young. Yeah. Temi is still pretty young. And so we'll be delving into her immigration story, how she came into Canada, and what did she even come to do? How did she get here in the first place? And what's up with her now, right? So Temi, from prior conversation, I can tell that I know that you came to Canada as a student.
Yes, sir.
You just left high school.
Yes.
And you came in to study university, right? So you came in at what age?
16.
16. You came in at 16.
Yes, sir.
That's like teenager,
Yes,
teenager, proper teenager.
Yes, sir.
So I also know that you came into Canada all by yourself.
Yes, sir. My mom dropped me off.
Mommy is going to watch this. Mommy, you dropped Temi off at the airport
Yeah.
and left and just
Yeah. She only stayed
allowed
a few days and
this 16. She followed you to Canada, right?
yeah,
she came with you.
Yeah, she came with me.
Stayed
to
a
Canada.
few
She
days.
stayed a few days.
Right.
Yeah, and then I mean, our situation, she didn't even have a choice but
Right.
I had to. I came a little bit late because of my visa.
Right.
So I came like a month. School had already started, like a month.
A month. Okay.
School.
Yeah. School had
So
already
she
started.
just said, "Madam,
okay,
this is your
16.
stuff. Let's quickly buy it. Let's take 2 days. Took me to school. Bye."
Okay. So my first question would be, I'd like you to describe to us what was your emotional state? I'm sure when you guys boarded the plane from Nigeria, I'm coming to Canada, you would have told your friends, I'm going to Canada, you'd have been excited.
Yeah.
And then you hopped on the plane, came with your mom, maybe she stayed a day or two and all, and then by the time she told you, I'm leaving, and then you're all by yourself in this land. Can you describe what your emotions were at that time? Like, what happened to you?
So just to give you a little bit of context for everyone that is watching.
Yeah.
So I came to Canada at the age of 16.
Yeah.
But I've been in Canada for 7+ years now.
Yeah.
So when I came, unfortunately, I had a little bit of some visa situations
Right.
going as they usually do
Yeah.
in Nigeria.
Yeah, for sure.
So I didn't get my visa until at this point, maybe ending of September, I would say. So school had already started. Typically, school will start in August, but school had already started. And I remember like the anticipation, oh God, my friends are in school. I need to be going. Some of my friends that have already finished high school at the time.
Right.
They started uni, whether or not you're starting uni in Nigeria, or somewhere. You started uni. So I was just home, by myself. And my mom was encouraging me as a woman of faith that, like, let's pack our bags. You never know when this thing will land.
This thing will land. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So finally, I remember, I can never forget that in my life. My dad was coming downstairs and he shouted, "Oh, Timiloluwa, your visa."
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was like, "Oh, bet, like, this is great."
Yeah.
So the amount of joy that was, I think maybe that's one of the first miracles I've ever witnessed.
Right, of course. A teenager, you won't even notice all the other ones. This one is a major one.
This is a major one. I get to leave the country.
Yeah.
Also, like, growing up in Nigeria, my parents were, I would say, a little bit protective. I wasn't a very, compared to my siblings, I wasn't a very, like, outgoing kid.
Are you the first child?
Yes.
I get that.
Yeah, I wasn't a very outgoing child. Also, just being a lady as well.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to really know much about the Nigerian landscape, society. All I knew was just my house, my church, my mind. I was thinking, this is an opportunity for me to even get to know myself, what I like to do, where I like to go, all of these things. So we hopped on the plane, and then we got here, and by God's grace, like, my parents have friends that are based in Alberta too. So it wasn't like I didn't really know them, but I just knew that if I should die, there's somebody I can call.
Yeah.
So one of my mom's friends, which I've heard her name a few times. My mom was calling her. She came to pick us up, and her kid actually was in the same school as me when we were going to school together. So I was like, okay, like, at least I would know someone ish. So I remember just being so excited. But I remember at the time it was just September was just coming in. I think it was ending, right? So the cold. I just remember being like, why is it so cold? Like, I've heard of, because I've heard that Canada is cold, right? And I came through Calgary.
Right.
So like I was just like, okay, let's just get to the school. Let me start school. So I remember just being very excited and just being like, maybe because of the nature to how I also came in, not coming in like a very conventional way. My whole visa issue. So I was so excited. I was very, very excited. I was even like, oh my God, thank God, like my mom. And I also went to boarding school. So I've been away from my parents before, right? So to me, this was just miles. It was just going to be miles away. I would still be seeing them as as they see fit, right? So I was like, that's the emotions, sort of the emotions I was feeling. I was just excited. That was literally what was on my mind. Like, even when I got to school, we had to go do the registration or that thing you had to do. So I just remember being so excited, like, oh my God. And then when I even came to school, so at the U of A, they have a few different campuses.
Mhm.
So the campus I actually started in, I ended up moving campuses at some point in my
Right.
degree, but it was in Camrose. Yeah, I don't know if you know, it's a very small,
Right. Yeah. Yes.
area. So I remember, I remember getting there. I was even a bit disappointed because
Yeah.
I came from Lagos.
Like, what's
So
happening?
like, so I was
Is this
like,
abroad?
yeah, I was like, why is this place so deserted? Like, God
Yeah.
forgive me, sorry. I
Yeah.
was like, why is this place so deserted? This is weird. Like, but I was like, I'm here.
Yeah.
That's what's most important. So I just remember being so excited. I remember like my mom and her friend had dropped me off. So I just remember being excited. I was just like, okay, yeah, thank you, mom. Like, see you. Bye.
Right.
Good night. Like that was it. So
And that was
I just
it.
remember being so excited. Like I was very, very excited about my journey. I was just happy that the wait was over.
Was over.
That
Okay.
was literally
Yeah. Yeah. So the settlement into the city, stuff around maybe housing and finding your way around. Like, did you get to live with this family friend of yours, or
yes.
how did you navigate the whole settling in?
I'll get into the main some questions.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I was a very I want to say this first of all. Your experience as an international student can be very different based on your upbringing, based on your personality.
Right.
I was brought up very compared to somebody may not. If you see my siblings, somebody may think we're brought up differently because I was more. My parents, maybe because I didn't express myself too much to do unconventional things, so I was more. I just stay in my room. No one talks.
That's
to me.
actually typical of every first child that is a daughter.
Girl, exactly.
It's typical. The same experience.
I was just like, in my room. So, when I got to Canada, I would say like, okay, maybe I try my best to be more extroverted because I'm naturally introvert person. So when I got here, right, I was graced enough for my parents to pay for my accommodation at school.
Okay.
So I got accommodation at school and everything. So I think because I had gone to boarding school, that transition also and the campus I went with at first, which I sometimes I thank God for that I actually went there first. Because if I came to Edmonton first, I feel like I would have lost my mind.
Right.
But
so that was a bit.
It was much smaller. Yeah,
smaller
exactly. So it was easy for me to just the girls on my floor, all of those stuff. Now, where things started getting a little bit hard for me was when I went for Christmas break. That's when I started seeing like, okay, Timmy, you're going to have to learn.
Right. So you went back. You went to Nigeria and came back.
No, I went to. So I stayed with my parents' friends. Great people. One of like our parents. I can literally call them my parents.
Your parents, yeah.
Right. Great people. Like her kid was the one that was in the same a year as me.
Right.
And I went there, and this lady, my mom's friend, has known me since I was a kid. I just didn't know.
You just didn't know,
you know who they are. So I went there, but I just remembered how secluded I always was. Like I just and they want to engage me in things, but me, I'll just be like, no, I don't understand the Canadian language. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where, her mom, the girl's mom, she's a teacher. And I remember there was a day where I can never forget this day in my life. And I appreciate her 100% for this because I think that was when my unblogger started opening up.
Yeah.
She called me and she said, hey, is everything okay? I see that you're not engaging with people at church.
Yeah.
You're not, you're not talking too much. You're not doing this. And I said, that's when I realized, even at the age of 16, I remember that my birthday is around Christmas time. So I turned 17 in their house. And I remember that's when I realized that I found it very hard to accept change. I found it so hard. At first, I think in my head, I was thinking, this is just another boarding school. But it was not just the academic. In my head, I was just like, okay, it's just change of academic scene.
Yeah.
But it's not that.
It's not
there's a psychological nuance.
The
that
culture,
you have
everything is different.
Everything is different. And I started feeling imposter syndromes, low self-esteem, all of these things that in my head, I'm like, where are all these coming from? I didn't know how to engage. There are people that, like I said, she had a child that was my age, right? So there are people that were in my age, a little bit older, depending on, but I couldn't engage with them. Right? I was only in school, I felt more comfortable because there were other Nigerian international students like myself or other, Ugandan international students. So we could relate on that level. But when it came to the outside society, outside of the context, I couldn't wrap my head around it. So that was when my journey started really getting like the what do you call it, like the clash of self-belonging, or like sorry, belonging in a society or not. Who am I? How do I add value?
Right.
You know, all of that entire, that was really, really where it started. And like I said, there were people in my life, you know, that they were trying to understand what I was going through, but they couldn't.
They couldn't.
Right? They couldn't. They couldn't understand what was going to. Some people that are not as patient as this lady was, because she's a teacher.
Right.
Right. Some people would think I'm a disrespectful child.
Yeah. Or maybe you're proud, or you're forming, or
exactly.
something. Like
but
enclosed.
she knew that, okay, there's something going on here that I've just yet to understand. Right. So I think that was really where that entire, like, I would say, like, trying to figure out where I belonged in a society, you know, when it came to finances and all these things. I said I was graced enough to have parents who could support me in that way. Housing, you know, people to also ask questions. As I always tell international students, when you're coming to Canada, when you're going anywhere, because even this book is not just people that are in Canada. If you're going anywhere,
yeah,
the worst thing you can do is, even as a parent, try and look for somebody there. You have to find somebody there. I don't even care whether, like, you don't, like, I have a friend who she's second born, but she has another sister. You know, when the older sister came to Canada, they didn't really know anybody. Like,
they came together?
Friend. No, so the first sister came, and then the second one is the one that is my age, right? Yeah. And she didn't really know anybody. And I'm like, so then I had wrote recently there, I said, you can't come to Canada and bring your kid as a teenager without not even one person that you can even call and say, is this person even fine? Like, to me, that's a bit. If there's one thing I can tell a parent, I'm like, please.
Oh wow, that's very instructive. Yeah.
Don't do that, because yes, your kid may feel like, you know, depending on the kind of how they were raised, they are kind of kid that, okay, their parents, you know, what's the word now? Their parents shelter them a lot, so they want to try and explore many different things. But at least having somebody there to check on the person, regularly,
that'll be a strong support system and all,
is one of the best things that I can. And like I said, there's so many kids that don't have that opportunity, but if you have it, don't take it for granted. Because that's something that I wish I utilized more.
Right.
Of.
Yeah, that support.
Because at first, some people are, you know, they are like, you know, what's the word now? Like, very lonely mentality. Okay, I'm in Canada, it's only me, it's only me, it's only me.
Yeah.
But if the people that support you, take the support. Like, take the support, no matter the age, take the support. So for me, back to your question, that was where I started having a lot of, like, friction. Right. In terms of finding my place, you know, housing and friends too, understanding what, okay, like, my friendship, networking, I didn't really get it. Like, I mean, I was 17. What am I supposed to, like, what am I supposed to do? Right. Wow. So that was housing and finances where, you know, well, I always say, I literally wrote in my book too, when it comes to finances, one of the biggest things, I wish I learned it earlier. And thank God, like, sometimes being a firstborn, you have the opportunity to teach your siblings, right? Is, you know, understanding the financial systems in that country.
Right.
A credit card is not similar to a credit card in Nigeria.
Right.
You need to, like,
you need to know that. Yeah.
Except you want to be owing thousands of dollars by the time you have done with school.
Right.
Like, that's just even the conversion rates, right? Understanding. I used to always stuff. I had a friend that had come in a little bit later than us, maybe in, like, the winter term I came in for, and she would always convert the Nigerian. Yeah. I said, madam,
you have to stop this conversation.
You have to stop this thing. You have to understand. And it's not like, obviously, maybe Nigerian, your naira is coming, your parents are giving you money, but you have to understand the Canadian system and how to get. Even I have a friend that, you know, she knows how to get grants. Like, how to get money.
Yeah, whatever it is you can get for free.
Yeah. You know, just understanding those things. So those are things that, like, out of, I guess, friendship, all international sense, the friends I had, we had learned those things together. Some money was wasted, yes.
Right.
But these are things that I would say that you start learning as soon as possible.
So would you, if you were to look back at your coming into Canada at the time you came in, and the fact that you were all by yourself, you had a bit of support system and all, would you say that you were emotionally, a 16-year-old, were you emotionally prepared for this? Were you emotionally matured enough, you know, for this phase that they just dumped you into?
I thought I was, but I wasn't. Like literally, I thought I was that okay. Like it's the next stage of life, right? It's just like saying somebody getting married. Not everybody's emotional.
It's not
So
everybody
everybody,
else.
people think that they are ready, but when they get to the marriage, then they realize, okay,
Yeah.
I need some work. I need to do
Yeah.
some work. The same thing, right? I thought this was the next stage of life. I'm ready. You know, most parents, once they're done with high school, straight into university.
Did you have this did you have this conversation with your
No.
parents as far, hey Timmy, you're going to a new country, it's a new whole country. Are you ready for that? There
was nothing.
You didn't have that
I did not
conversation.
have that conversation.
Mommy and daddy just thought
They just
this is the best for our daughter.
Yeah.
We're doing her some very good favor. We're pushing her out there
Yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah. There was no conversation.
There was no
that
one-on-one
Nope.
conversation.
No.
And so is this something you think you would advise parents to have
Yes.
to prep
Yes.
those students? In fact, the parents too need to do a lot of knowledge gathering about the
Thank you.
country.
That was where I was getting to actually.
Right.
Because, you know, a lot of people that come from more conservative countries, so Nigeria, African, Asia countries, where they're more traditional,
More traditional,
in the way
yeah.
they think,
Yeah.
conservative in the way they think, or communal in the way
Right.
they think.
Right.
Sometimes, you know, like yes, sometimes, you know, decisions that we make as a parent, when it's good for your kid, yes, but still having, you know, it's still something, because one thing you don't want is to allow your child lose their mind.
Wow.
That's something you don't want to
and
happen.
It can happen easily,
and it
very
can
fast,
happen
yeah.
very quick.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen. That's how suicide thoughts start, right?
Yeah.
So I always, like, in my mind, I was talking to my mom about this actually, and I was saying, you know, with my brother and my sister, they didn't really do that. But I think because I was already there, so I already kind of was becoming the parent that prepped them and say, okay, hey, this is what you're about to get into. This is what I think, you know. But being a first child, I wish that there was somebody who was already in Canada. It was probably maybe not too, the age gap was not too much. I would have said, hey, even if my parents don't know, but they would have sourced that person out to say, hey, this is what life is going to look like. You know, you may think that
very powerful points.
You are emotionally, you know, you're there. You may think that, like, oh yeah, this is about to be a very interesting ride for me. But I wish, and as I said, mentors, I wish I had somebody that they may not have been a parent, but someone that had gone through similar, or came to the country in a similar form, that I could talk to, that I could say, auntie this, so uncle this, I'm here. But they're not like parents, but they know that they came to Canada as an international student, right? And the year you come to Canada, Australia, wherever you go, obviously things differ, but there's still some generalization, like understanding and similar, like, I guess, foundation that would help a person, right? So if I was the one to tell a parent, I would say, hey, if you can find someone that you know also came through this route, tell your child to speak to the person, right? Like, tell your child to speak to the person. Even you do your research. You know, ask your friends that are there, or anybody that you know, how is the life here?
Right.
You know, like, all of these things. I wish that, like, you know, something like, even going back now, actually, now I'm even having this conversation out loud, because some of these things you just have in your head and all things. But now that I'm having a conversation out loud, something I wish my parents had done is that I wish I'd become more, you know, if my parents had been, I mean, I never spoke to them about this, but if they had plans maybe a year ago or 2 years ago for me to come to Canada, I wish that they had familiarized me with the family friends that I was going to be hanging out with, getting me more.
It would be easy for you to integrate.
It'd be easier for me to integrate. And you also have to understand your child's personality.
Your child's personality. Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful.
My younger sister is the last of us. She's an introvert, but she's more extroverted than me. She can find her way through things. And I think just because from learning, and
some of them can make friends easily more than others.
More than us. Me and my brother, not really, not too
Every
much.
parent should know this.
Right. So I think, you know, that was something that I wish, you know, that if you're an observant parent, by hopefully most parents are, you know, you understand that, okay, this child is not too, they don't gel very quickly with people or anything. So let me just try to start saying, oh, come and speak to this auntie. If, you know, as a child, you'll be like, why is this woman wanting to speak to this auntie? But the more you'll be speaking to them, okay,
you get more used to them.
Month 2, month 3, month 4.
Wow, this is very...
You know, even if they have a kid that's even your age or even younger than you, older than you, at least you know, like, okay, This was the first time I've spoken to you in my lifetime.
Right.
So
Right.
I think that really helps even cushion a child, and help them, like, okay, they're not the only ones. Because in my head, like I said, thank God I had someone that had that, grace of patience and could sit down with me. Some people don't
Yeah.
have that.
I've met while in Nova Scotia, I met two sisters one time that they just came, dumped them here and left. Nobody.
Jesus.
Those kids were, wow, they were exposed. Let me put it that way. They were just exposed. There was nobody to run to. It was terrible. Their experience was really touching and terrible. And it took some conscious efforts within a church community to help.
Yeah. And
it wasn't funny at all.
Yeah. And that's something that, like, I actually wrote it there too in my book about, building friendships and community. If you are privileged enough as international students, one of the biggest things I always encourage international students is find a community fast. Because you don't want to be that wolf that is, or sheep that is just by themselves.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Right.
Find it, even if you may not necessarily be a religion, someone of religion or anything like that. One of the stories I actually tell, because I tell a bunch of different people's stories. Someone from India, someone from, they're all in this book.
Yeah.
And one of them, who she's from Kazakhstan, she was telling me her story, right? And she's not a person of religion or anything, but she found community in school.
In school.
Clubs.
Yeah, school clubs, yeah.
I was telling my sister, I said, hey, yes, you have me, you have my brother, you have, church community, all of that, but you need to start finding community fast, because it doesn't only cushion you, but it also helps you build your value. You start to find yourself quickly,
right?
Because once you start trying out things very early, you find yourself quickly. Okay,
right?
I don't really like this thing.
Yeah, self-mastery would happen very fast.
Very fast, very fast. And people will look at you at the age of 20 and they will think you are
because you would have gathered a lot of maturity.
You have matured.
Like the way I'm looking at you right now, I'm like, she has speaking a lot of wisdom. She's speaking with a lot of wisdom. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Right. Yeah. Like you would have matured very, very fast.
Yeah.
Because you've tried many things very quickly. You didn't settle down. And I mean, like, I don't want to run ahead of myself if you have any questions related to this, but sometimes I say it there that, coming to Canada as an international student is more than just your academics. You also have to be very, very cautious. And, it's hard to balance priorities, because I'm trying my best to say how to say this now. A lot of parents that are from conservative countries, Nigeria, India, all those Asia places, they grill into a lot of students the idea that you are going to school, you have to get
the best grades and all. Yeah.
Those grades will not help you. Oh God.
Oh my God. You want to say that again?
It won't help you life. It won't help your destiny. It won't help you. It won't help you. What will help you is you being streetwise, is learning the culture, the psychological nuances of your new country very fast. That plus your grades, that's what's going to make you succeed. Not just your grades. The grade. Because you'll be so focused on your grades, by the time you are done with school, you'll be looking around and realize that there's nothing for you. There's no substantial for you to land on. There are many of us that we finished. I even have a friend that finished looking for a job for 2 years just because they didn't take some time during school to say, okay, you know what? I want to
pick
understand
up some social skills.
I want to understand. One thing I appreciate very much about I studied business in school, and I went to Alberta School of Business, was how big they were on networking and pushing us to be out there. Although it was more professional in nature, but I think as an international student, one of the best things you can do for yourself to help your soft landing very easy, in Canada and wherever you're going to, is putting yourself out there. You have to. Mm-hmm. It's not. I don't even know how to grin into people's head.
Oh wow!
Like you have to. That's one, because it's almost like I say in the book that the educational space when you first come to Canada or wherever you go, you are coming. Maybe you're doing a 2-year bachelor's degree, 2-year master's degree, 4 years. That space, that educational space, it's almost like a playground for you. There's no risk.
There's no risk.
There's no risk.
That's so
you
true.
can do whatever you like. You can even go and join book club. You can join as many things as you want. There's nobody is telling you you're going to get fired because
Right.
you are in it.
Yeah.
But that's actually the time.
That's the safety net you
That's the
have.
safety net. That's
Yeah.
the time you're supposed to use to learn the culture, learn the ways of life, learn the financial landscape, learn networking, mix with people that are. There's a guy in the book that I wrote about. I met him maybe 2 years ago. This guy, a story, very interesting, very interesting story. He has siblings in Canada, but he had a little bit of some issues. His parents didn't want him to study something, but he wanted to study another thing. He ended up just saying, you know what, if you guys don't want to go pay for my school fees, I'm going to study what I want to. And he really believed himself. Now, this guy is probably in his 4th year at this time, maybe finishing this year or finished last year, one of those two. By the time I met him, he was in his 2nd to 3rd year, and he started a company. Now, this is a company that even people in Calgary, people that are big people in Calgary, are knowing him. He's all over the place. Deloitte, all these speaking engagements. Right. And in my mind, I'm like, sometimes international students limit themselves. They limit themselves that, I'm just here to study. Mm-hmm. If you're looking to, like, what we're talking about even earlier, right. If you're looking to stay outside of that, after school, you're going to have to re-strategize your way of thinking. You're going to say, okay, I'm not just coming here. One of my mottos, even on my Instagram page, wherever you go to, is, I'm not just helping international students survive. I'm helping them thrive. Right. A lot of international students survival mode. That's not what we're meant to be. We came here to thrive. Right. Right. So the faster you are, and that's what mentorship, all these things will help you gain those understanding. What we're talking about right now will help you gain those understanding very quickly. That, okay, I came here, so I came to study, but I also can start to figure out what am I good at. Mm-hmm. I know someone that came here as an international student. She started making hair. At first, she just thought this was just, making hair. Let me just make some money. But now, this person
that's what
done,
she fell back on.
This is what she's doing and she's making 6 figures. This person was just doing in Edmonton that we are talking. Oh, wow. This is what this person is doing, and this is kind of thing that will probably get her PR. Right. So in my mind, I'm like, you have to start thinking outside the box. Yeah. Right. While you are in that educational space, you're still on that study permit. There's nothing to lose. Wow. There's so much you can do, so much you can gain. I was talking to my brother about this. So many what they call this conferences that he's been to, that he's got it for cheap because he's a student. Yeah. And he can meet people, and there's no risk. By the time you're done, now you're okay, professional experience. Where's the time to even want to go for all these things? Because now you're on 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. All these things. This is a time for you to actually realize, explore. Now, obviously, some students, and as I say, you have to know your child and you have to know your personality as a person. Some students, some people that their exploration is actually crazy. They do all sorts, right? And surround yourself with the right people. That's it's natural. Like, you have to, right? But when it comes to your professional life, when it comes to, your mental health, you have to put yourself out there. You, like, as an international student, I say it, like, someone can even think that's all I'm repeating in this book. Like, you have to. And something that I wish I did very, very early on. Yeah. I was graced to have, when I was my 3rd year, I did an internship. I was graced to be able to have that, maybe have, a few people that I networked with within that space. But I wish I did more. I wish I started early. I wish I even started in my 1st year. That even if, and I was like, your 1st semester, sure, you may not necessarily do too much because you're still trying to figure out, okay, what's going on, all of that stuff. But by the time you get to your 2nd year, you need to now start saying, okay, you know what is out there for me? And it's hard for a 17-year-old to think about this.
That's the point. That's a question I wanted to ask next. You've actually touched on some of the questions I wanted to ask, which is great. Yeah, that helps us better manage our time. So, but the question I wanted to ask you is, you came in 16, into that environment, and also maybe I'll add put 2 questions together also. How did you cope with the workload, the academic workload, coming from Nigeria or coming from Africa, like the pace, like how easy did you struggle with the academic itself, the academic stuff itself, the load on one hand? And then the next question is, I like the point you're bringing where you're saying, hey, you're an international student. As soon as you find your feet in the school and you've been able to balance, or maybe, okay, I don't want to fail my academic, okay, I'm surviving now. The next thing should be, I should be thinking about the society out there, how to integrate my life after study and make moves, be intentional about networking and all of that. So that's a very powerful point you just made there. So I think my question would be, how do you marry your academic workload, with being able to do this other stuff? And then just wrap up this question, I would say you did mention to me when we spoke earlier on about being fired twice from a job,
Oh Lord. Yeah.
from 2 jobs
Yeah.
after your BSc program, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So do you want to throw light into why you think you couldn't survive those jobs, and what lessons did you learn from that?
Yeah. So I'll start with the first question, which was about academics. So I actually wrote in there, when I talk about culture shock,
Yeah.
academics is a culture shock. Believe it or not. I literally talk about
let
it.
somebody say that again. Academics
is a culture,
culture shock.
Oh yes.
That's powerful.
Because and I will give examples.
It's not the same. It's not the same as what we do back home.
Absolutely not. It's not the same. I literally give an example. There was a lady from Ghana who was talking about her experience. And the same. I felt the same way. So I thought to write it. When I first got to Canada, I don't think I've never really been bad in academically. I was always around the 80s range, and I was comfortable there.
Yeah.
When I got to Canada, I remember as a business student, you have to take some certain classes, like some foundational classes, math, calculus. First of all, the mathematics they're teaching us in Nigeria and mathematics they're teaching them here, two completely different things.
For real.
Oh my goodness. It's just, let's just say it's completely different. And I'm getting to I'm explaining it
to a point.
that. English 2 was also completely different. In fact, I remember one of my professors, she had, like I said, I had just come into school a month after, so I was catching up on quite a bit. And I wrote an essay, and she was a bit, like, I guess, maybe not necessarily pushing me, but she was like, oh, you wrote British English here, they use American English and that. And I explained to her that, like, we're colonized by the British. This is how I spell color. This is how you spell,
okay.
Right. And one thing, she had said something to me that at the time really offended me. She was like, maybe you should go into the English second language class. And in my mind, I said, I don't know how to explain this to
English
you,
is my first language.
Yes,
what's
I don't know how to
here?
explain this to you. Now, one thing I quickly realized when I now got into business school, right? My academics even became harder when I got to business school. And it wasn't necessarily because I didn't understand or I didn't know what to do. I started realizing that academic performance, how they grade you, what they're looking for in a conservative or like someone like Nigeria, Ghana spaces, compared to the Western world is completely different.
Right.
In Nigeria, it's more theory-based. Here is more application-based.
Right.
If you don't, in Nigeria, you can cram all the cram you want to cram and get that and get your A's. But here, that's not going to help you. It's application. They want to know
the concept.
Do you understand the concept, this? And I was using the same method that I was using in Nigeria reading in school. I was using it here. In fact, it was actually the lady that I had said, one of my mom's family friends that had a kid that was the same age as me. She was one that actually made that she gave me that enlightenment that, Tim, when you get here, you have to read the learning outcomes of the syllabus.
Right.
What exactly does the professor want you to understand? That's not the strategy you used to read.
Oh, wow.
And I said, oh.
Oh, wow.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So at first, it took me a few semesters of failures before I started saying,
to get the memo.
This is how, and she was also doing well. So in my mind, I was like, I don't know. And she was from here.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was like, what is going on? I didn't really, and some of my other friends too were also struggling a little bit, right? Some of us worse than others.
Yeah.
But and I couldn't realize that over there it's theory based. But here's academic based and application based. Yeah. So sometimes that culture shock is there because you're like in your head, you're like, this is how I've been doing things. and it's
And imposter
worse.
syndrome to start setting
setting
in,
in.
start wondering.
Even in class where you're telling me, oh, asking questions or even answering questions in class is a part of my participation for my grade. Why?
Wow.
You know, like
Yeah.
in Nigeria,
You're
I
looking
don't
at your
have
social skills even in the class. Yeah.
even and someone and I give it up. I give it to Western World Academy. I think they have it. They have it going well because by the time you actually finish, there's a lot you've actually grown. You've grown
into,
as an individual,
yeah.
right? And I hope that some conservative countries get this. But in my mind, I was like, why do I have to speak in class? And then that imposter syndrome too, of like you said,
Yeah.
not having to speak in class. First of all, my accent. Number two, you don't want me to. I'm hearing all these things that people are saying, and it's not clicking in my head.
Not,
so I don't want to be the one. I don't want to make a fool of myself, right? So in my mind, I was like, why should I? Remember, in fact, our English classes, we did literature English, so we would do all this Shakespeare, read this in class, and people are spitting some bars about what their understanding of. And I'm like, hey, Kosi, this is
it's not making sense.
Yeah, it's not making sense to me, right? So that culture shock in itself was a lot. It was a lot for me personally. Now, like I said, from some other international students, it may not necessarily be that way.
Yeah.
But for me and some people that I know, it was a lot. Even some people that are like, for example, engineering and all those things. I can imagine. I was even just in business.
Right.
I can imagine what they're going through. Having to do a different. Even my brother, he's doing computer science, specifically like especially AI, especially when he first came. He's like, what is this?
He was confused.
What is this? The math is different. Now you're telling me to learn code. Why are they not teaching us code when we're in Nigeria? Like all of these things, expectations that you didn't even know you have. And it's so funny you're talking about this because now going back to school, given what we talked about previously, now I'm back in school again and I'm actually doing a diploma, but start my master's later on in fall. I'm having to see international students start from the beginning. And me that I've been here for 7 years. And in my mind, it's very nostalgic.
Right.
To see
that this is exactly what I went through.
This is exactly what I went through. I see even international students. I'm in class. Probably one of the oldest in my class. And I'm seeing questions that people are asking. And I'm like, wow. Like, even me that I'm 7 years in, I'm still trying my best to even remember what the academic system is going. Right. How much more somebody that does not...
Who's just coming
in for the first time. It's a lot. Even my younger sister just came in. She's not doing computer science degree or anything like that. But I remember after her first semester, she was like, girl, I don't know. I could say God, she has siblings, she has family, she has community here that's already built. And people already know her. She used to come and visit us when we were in school, me and my siblings. So people already know her. But even at that, it's still academically a lot for somebody to change that way of thinking when you have been doing that for almost 12 years of your life.
Right. Yeah.
So it is a shock.
It's a huge one.
It's a huge shock. And going back to your question now, the second question you talked about balancing that understanding. Now, some people may say, oh, as an international student, don't be too worried about, what's going on, what happens after school. I get that. I understand that. But at the same time, I'm not necessarily preaching that you should worry that, oh my God, I'm not going to get a job. I'm not going to. No. It's been like more, I would use the word more proactive, where you are thinking a big picture in big picture form, and it's like I said, it's hard for a 17-year-old to think like that.
Yeah, to balance
it's hard
both. Yeah.
For an 18-year-old thinking, and that's like when you started getting, maybe in your first year, second year, you've understood. Okay, this is how they do things here, and that's why, like I said, it's good to talk to people like us.
Yeah.
This is how they do things here. Okay, you've gotten a year should be enough for you to say, okay, it will still be hard. There's still going to be some shockers in the future, right? But once you get that understanding, now try to see, okay, and you can even come from this perspective. How can I add value? Because if you think about it, even in Nigeria, people that go to university, you don't really just go to university. Many of them start business in university. Many of them will do work.
Yeah, they do some form of hustle.
They do
or the
so.
other. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why can't you do the same here?
Yeah.
Do you know what I say?
True.
So I don't know that maybe it's the maybe the persona that's been built about coming to Canada, coming to the US, coming to the UK as an international student. But sometimes you have to learn to be studious. And I wish I had that intensity, because if you're not someone that is very, I don't see the word intense, but you're not studious. You have to quickly learn how to become that very quickly. How to take opportunities, how to, like, I'm not telling you that okay, you shouldn't care for the people of Canada and just grab whatever you like. Because one thing I even say, one thing I don't like is seeing international students, or even any student that's in university, and you are only getting to know me because you want a job. No, that is absolutely disrespectful.
Right.
Now, but you're like, okay, let me cultivate relationships. Let me let me get to know the people. Let me also explore. Like, having that mindset, sometimes being in that small mindset can be so hindering, and you don't know the repercussions of it. Now, taking little steps of joining a club, getting to know people,
volunteer somewhere.
volunteer.
Yeah.
I talk about it. Volunteering. Those little things will start to they will start to add up.
Yeah.
You will start to realize, as okay, well, I volunteered in my second year. Then you start to meet people. For someone talks about this. Someone talks about this. Then your mind starts to open up. Naturally, your capacity will even begin to build.
Yeah, true.
I didn't get my first ever position when I was in Canada was COVID period. I got a virtual role, right? And then I now got an internship, and then I started working while I was in school. The more you are exposed to society and just knowing that there's more for me here, the more your capacity begins to increase. A lot of people are scared that their academics will reduce. No.
That's not the price. That's not the main
price.
thing.
And it would not. A lot of people are scared. Oh my God, my parents sent me here. They spent thousands of dollars on me. Oh my goodness. Like, it's going to, I'm going to. No, I'm telling you, as you expose yourself, you find it, and you actually start to love yourself. You start to love yourself in this environment. You start to love the things you're doing. Your academics will even become
value and all.
Add your value. A lot of people, in fact, find a lot of us have been coming to the age of 16, whether or not you're international students or not, really. Yeah, to me, if I'm being honest, most of us don't start in the degree that we finish.
True.
Because you don't know at the age of 16 what you want to do.
Yeah.
But the more you start to open yourself up, and you start to realize, okay, I'm really good at this coding thing. Or maybe I was in psychology, but I just realized that this robotic club is really nice. And this guy that I met, or this lady that I met, taught me how to do this. Maybe I should go into this. Your capacity will start to increase. Your way of thinking mentally, physically will start to increase. Something I was telling my sister the other day was, I was trying to push her to start, okay, let's start sending resumes out. Let's start getting volunteer. And when she was in high school, she was very much into, all this political science, politics things, UN. She was always traveling. They were always taking her different places. I said, the same amount of tenacity that you had to do that while you were in school. And it's not like you were not writing your high school exams to come here. You were doing all those things.
Right.
The same way, you will naturally start to form. And funny enough is that a lot of these kids that are domestic students that are here in Canada, they started working since they were like 14.
Yeah, they started building that up. Yeah.
So why? I feel like I know it's hard.
And these are the people you want to compete with after school.
Yeah. And I know it's hard. It will take, like I said, some kids, it takes them longer than others. But once you have that, you already know that I think I've gotten this thing a little bit, or I think I know someone that has gotten it. Let me already start to think. Your grades will not drop. Your grades, like, except maybe it's really bad that, okay, like, all you want to do is just earn money. And also, like, the motive also matters. Why are you doing these things? Is it because you just want to earn money?
Right. Well,
are you trying to do it because you want to actually add value? You want to gather experience? You want to figure out, okay, what exactly am I in this life to do? If that's your motive, I'm very sure that somehow you'll get there.
You'll be able to balance it.
You'll be able to balance it.
That's amazing.
And sometimes just changing people's mindsets like that already sparks something in them. That, okay, I'm not just, when I go to class, my brother is someone that, he's very into research and stuff. He loves all the AI stuff. When his mind started realizing that, okay, like, I need to start looking more into how I can add value. He started going to class, not just to learn, but also get to even know your professor. How did you even reach here in the first place, this professor? How did you get to this
get here?
You are curious. It's curiosity.
Yeah.
That's what will actually begin to open up your mind, open
Yeah.
up doors for you. So
Yeah.
that's something that I wish I had.
Yeah.
Curiosity.
Yeah.
If you're someone that like, I'm not saying that you should be curious and you go and you find your places, you find yourself in
the
different
wrong
places,
places,
wrong
yeah.
places. No. Obviously, having a guided hand with me and my siblings, yes. And as I said, having someone that is a mentor, someone
Yeah,
like that
would
can
help.
help you would help.
Yeah.
Now, that's where in my case, like, you definitely have to be curious. You have to be curious. You're not just going to class. It's not like high school where you just go to class and you just come back. No, this is from this university life is now your steps to be like, okay, this is where I can really for people that have dreamed of becoming a billionaire. This is your moment to
This is
start
the time.
thinking about
Start envisioning.
how you want to start visualizing yourself, start meditating on that, understanding, okay, how exactly do I want to do this thing?
Happen? Yeah.
Right? What people know me for?
Yeah.
You know, how can I stand out? What people know me for? I always tell my sister, one thing about my sister, she's a very funny girl. She can crack. I told her she can become a comedian at this point. You can open a YouTube channel. I've encouraged her.
Yeah.
Like, so in my mind, I'm thinking that, like, as an international student, if I were to go back to that moment,
you would do
right,
something different.
I would do something to find, okay, who am I?
Find yourself.
Like, what exactly is going on? And sometimes you can be so, like I said, it depends on everybody. You can be so, international can be so engulfed by the problems of being an international student. You know, the whole housing, you know, fees, depending on school fees or, you know, your situation. But sometimes, like, one thing that helped me by the time I got to, which I'm coming to your third question, by the time I got to maybe out of uni, for maybe towards the end of my university life and then out of uni, was meditation. Like, I'm a person of religion. I'm a Christian. So meditation was always helping me. And I think even if you're not a person of religion, I think just having the understanding that, like, everything's going to be okay. Visualizing yourself, you know, visualize yourself finishing that degree. Visualize yourself being the person that you want at least want to be. Obviously, that can change as the more you get to know knowledge and stuff like that. But visualization, affirmation, all these things. Actually, at the back of my book, I actually have an affirmation list for international students.
Right.
You know, you can tell yourself, I'm here to be great. I'm not just, you know, I don't like the idea of just survival mode. I don't.
True.
So for me, I'm like, even if you are, and I've met people, and I know it's possible because I've met people that
who are doing great stuff,
even worse situations
younger
than
minds,
me. I had parents that paid for my school fees. I had a home to live in, but I know people that, in fact, there's someone in the book. She is a finance guru. She's written a book about finances and stuff. I got the privilege of knowing her story. She came to Canada. Her parents, you know, started first year, second year. Her parents, you know, paid for school, but something happened down the line. Something happened. And she didn't really go much into it, but her parents could not pay.
Couldn't pay anymore. Yeah.
And it's even there in the book. I'm digressing into this, but if you are a parent that you're sending your kid abroad, or even here, like you said, an immigrant parent, you have to sit down and have a talk with your child, no matter, even if they are 16, 17, and talk about what are the possible options if something should happen. There have been too many falling stories that have happened because parents were not proactive enough to have a conversation with their children and say, hey, this is where your trust fund is. This is the person that you should talk to if anything should happen, because 4 years is not always a guarantee. 2 years is not always a guarantee.
That's some very good point there.
It's not always a guarantee. I was privileged enough, and my siblings are privileged enough to have parents that pay for their school fees. But I know someone who, they started out well. In fact, I even watched a girl on TikTok who, I think she's Ontario or something. Her parents had paid for her school fee first year, second year. And then things happened and she couldn't. I mean, what does she want to do? Go back to Nigeria? And now she's paying for herself. And this lady too, that spoken about now, this lady is in her 30s, older, doing things well in life, whatnot. But at the time, it was not a joke.
It wasn't. Yeah.
So I digress a bit, but I just wanted to, I don't know why I said this, but
somebody
here is listening and needs to hear this. But pretty much back to my point about, you know, balancing the two. I think, like I said, as international students, the more curious you become, you know, you are starting to understand your society, you are getting to know people, even people that are domestic. I say there that I don't really believe in, I'm a Nigerian, so I like to speak to Nigerian people. Chinese person speaks to Chinese people, you're going to be what's the word? Follow yourself short. You have to diversify
mix up,
and learn from other. I was graced enough to have someone that was domestic around my area that could teach me exactly about the learning outcomes. That could teach me a few things. Right. It wasn't from her that I learned how to build my first resume.
Right.
And resume that is not Nigerian resume. Right. The resume that they collect in Canada. Right. So in my mind, I'm thinking that like, hey, don't try your best to. I know it can be hard. You're trying to find people that are like-minded than you, that have similar situations, and that's the foundation. But once you have that foundation, please.
Yeah, once there's a will, there will always be a way to balance it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's and sometimes people have to even know that there should be a will.
There should be,
because if they don't know that there should be a will, then definitely they will suffer for it after. Right. So and that's pretty much it in terms of that question. And even when you talked about firing now, which is another story for another.
Yeah. So just sum up, what skills did you lack that made you?
I think one was my confidence. I think I didn't really, although yes, I had worked in Canada before, like I did an internship, but I don't think I really took in, I don't think I really settled in Canada. I don't think I really understood, the society, like things like small talk, all these things. In fact, it's not like most of those jobs, it's not like I wasn't competent for them. Yeah. Oh, I was. It was just I was the person that barely talked in meetings.
Yeah.
I was the person that, I didn't really know how to ask questions. Just the little things that Canadians value. In Nigeria, they may not value that. As long as you get your work done, that's what's important to them. But here, that's completely different.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I wish that I really, really worked on that when I was in school. And like I said, everybody is different. For a kid that is more extroverted nature, those things may not be
their challenge. Yeah.
But for someone, and as a child, you have to start discovering yourself.
Yeah.
And those are what I was talking about before was what you used to discover. Because those people, they already tell you that
you need to do well with this aspect, that aspect.
But I didn't do that. I didn't have that. I didn't take that action. So when I got into the workplace and I started having situations where I'm blacking out during the meeting because I can't speak, or I'm having sweats because I feel imposter syndrome.
You're under pressure.
But if I had actually taken my time to ask questions, to learn these things, and funny enough, the internship I actually now I'm thinking about it, I feel like God is so interesting. The internship I did, I was under someone, an amazing woman, and I wish I utilized her more.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I think she was just like, okay, this girl is an international student. She doesn't really know much. You know, I'll just give her. But some people are not like that.
Yeah.
Some managers are not like that. They don't care whether
they're not gracious at all.
They're not like that. You do your job. Make sure that you show up. You say what you need to say. Because it's not about just the numbers that you get. The kind of job I was doing, I think even my second position was much more communication in nature. Right. If I didn't communicate, if I didn't, make people feel we're very communal, you know what I say, then you're not doing your job.
You're not doing your job, yeah.
So that was pretty much the situation. And what I had learned, by the time I remember, I can never forget that one time I left that position, one of the biggest things that I started learning was that God, I wish I really took my time in university to learn how to understand the Canadian culture, to learn how to speak to people, to learn how to be nice. All these little nuances that we always forget about, the things that may not look important, because it accumulates.
Yeah.
It is important. All these interpersonal things, how to be emotionally intelligent, all these things. I wish I I had sat down to learn them. To put myself in an environment. And sometimes you don't want to put yourself in environments because you're too scared that you will fail. And that was the issue, where when I was in uni, I didn't put myself in an environment where those weaknesses could easily come out because I was too scared. And that's a level of low confidence, if you want it. I was too scared. But it eventually came out.
It came out,
in the space where it was needed.
Yeah.
Right. So
and you were exposed.
And I was exposed. So those are the things for me. That was I wish I had really. In fact, I remember talking to my dad, and he was just like, "Wow, like you know, he was very happy first of all because I was introspective enough to understand
To
that." But
understand what
it
happened,
took
yeah.
me what maybe
Two,
2 years,
yeah, and losing
for
2 jobs.
and losing 2 jobs to figure that out. And I
Yeah.
don't want anybody to be in that situation,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you're someone that you're not an outgoing person. It takes you a while for you to get your boots running with things. You're not, because I didn't become like this. The way I'm talking, I didn't become
Yeah.
like this overnight.
Yeah,
Oh
I
no.
mean, because this is a big contrast from the 17, 18-year-old girl you're describing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I didn't become like this. It was from learning,
yeah, the hard way.
the hard way, right? My manager talking to me that, okay, hey, like, what's going on? Like, you need to talk, you need to do this, you need to do this more. After you say it many, many times, what else are they going to tell you at the end of the
They
day?
just said this person is not a best fit for
Exactly.
this
That's what they will say. Exactly.
Yeah, and they just let you go.
That was one of the biggest skills that I had learned at the time, right? That, like, okay, you know what? You need to be more emotionally intelligent. You need to be more aware. Aware when you are in a conversation, be present.
Be present there, yeah.
It's somewhere like in a place like Canada, it's very easy for people to know that you're not present.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, if you can ask somebody for your notes,
yeah.
for the but here it's very easy because they expect.
They're interested in those things. Yeah.
Those things.
Yeah.
If you are not a fit with the
with
environment,
with the system,
it's going to be hard.
Wow. That's been I feel you've already found your calling, if you ask me.
Oh no.
In terms of motivating our young ones and speaking to them, and you already sound like I mean, this should be the list in your catalog. There should be, like we said, there should be a volume 2, and I'm sure you're already having speaking engagements. Gathering of young minds where you get to talk to them about your experience. And for me, you found a calling already. I mean, you've spoken very well. I mean, you've just said a lot right now that I think are, these are really valuable points that even me I've learned from. And I think a young teenager if a young teenager watches this episode or even read your book, they would understand what is waiting for them at university and what they should do after that, right? And that's so powerful. So this is on Amazon.
Yes, this is on Amazon. It's on Kindle. Like, you can get it digitally, or you can order it yourself. And it's also on Barnes and Noble, so you can also order it there.
Okay, right. Yeah. So it's titled "A Word for an International Student" by Timiloluwa Akinroye. Powerful. So that we don't overextend this conversation, I'll ask you one last question so as we wrap up. First of all, I would say wonderful chat with you.
And
I'm really impressed.
Thank you so much, sir.
Really, this is what we call, I tell people that our life's experiences has monetary value and beyond monetary value.
Yes, sir.
You can monetize your experience. Yeah. Right? And you can also, of course, your experience, if God allows you to go through an experience, including the one you're going through currently, definitely He will take you out of it. Yes. You will come out of it. And then once you come out of it, the expectation is that experience becomes a ministry.
Yes.
Right? And that's exactly what you're doing with the experiences you've gathered so far in these past 7 years. Yeah. And I really want to commend you for that, for putting your thoughts into a book and for what you continue to do. So in rounding up, I would say your parents are still not here. Yes. So you're here with your brother.
Yes, my brother, my sister. Yes.
Oh, you're here with your brother and your sister.
Yes.
And you are the big mommy now. You're the big mommy in Canada.
Always calling me that.
Yeah, you're the big mommy. So my question would be, I know that, so many things are still a work in progress. You're still working towards some stuff, but you've been here for 7 years. Yes. My question as we wrap up would be, as a young mind, you came in right now, you should be around what, 23, 24?
24.
Yeah, so you're still very young. Yes. You're still very young.
Yes, sir.
Your mates are busy on TikTok, dancing and showing off body parts. Yeah. Your mates are busy partying and doing all manner of vices, right? People your age, without parental control.
Yes, sir.
They do all manner of stuff.
Yes, sir.
In this part of the world. Well. But I'm sitting with a Temi who you were brought in here at 16, and now you're like 23, 24, and you're all together. Your thoughts are together straight. You have your thoughts written in a book. you are speaking to people already. I believe you have one or two settings where you speak or talk to
Yes,
people,
on
even in
TikTok.
church
Yes.
and all of that.
Yes.
You're more like a mentor now to people,
Oh.
which is amazing.
Yes, sir.
So my question would be, what are those things that made Temi to be this version of you? What are your beliefs, your core values? What are those things what is guiding you? What are your guiding principles
Yes, sir.
that you want to share with the young minds we have, and especially people from Africa descent
Yes.
that are within your age bracket? Whether you're a teenager, you're just crossing your 20s.
Mm.
What are those things that have kept you going and you think you want to share with our people?
I would say as a person of course, as a person of religion,
A person of
I'm
faith,
a person of faith, right?
Yeah.
I'm Christian.
And
I
besides, your
cannot-
parents should be proud of you. They watch this. You guys should be proud of Temi. She's doing great.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
I honestly would say like God.
Right.
That Jesus.
The God
I think
factor, yeah.
The God factor is very important to me. I think that's one of the things, after having such a very bad fall with losing two positions and all of that, even what's currently going on in my life, I mentioned to you, I think just knowing that everything is going to be okay at the end of the day, and then also having the understanding that I'm here to make an impact. I think I've never always, like I said, I was very timid as a child. Maybe even make my mom maybe one day in the future, but
Yeah.
I was a very
Yeah.
timid kid. I didn't really ask for much.
Yeah.
I minded my own business.
Yeah.
But I think being, in terms of with God as well, and also being around people that wanted more for their lives. I think when
your circle mattered a lot.
My circle, I'll shout out to my church here, Cornerstone Christian Church of God, because I think having people that are also longing, there are many people that are my age and are doing way bigger things than I could think or imagine, even when I'm just writing a book.
Yeah.
So surrounding myself with those kind of people really put me that,
with great minds, yeah.
Timmy, like there's more for you
more.
in this life, and that's what's pushing me to tell international students too. Like when you come to a new country, there's a reason why you're there, even if you're going to just be there for 4 years. But there's so much you can do. Right? So I think that shaped a lot of my mindset, just understanding, and there's a lot of things I can't really talk about, but that happened, over COVID. So many things that I realized, Timmy, if you don't take your life seriously. There's going to be a lot you are losing. There was something that a pastor recently came to our church maybe a year ago or something, and he said something about, there's a generation waiting for your obedience. There's somebody waiting for you, right? If you don't, there's a reason why you were born, right? If you don't, and like I said, it may take you a while to figure that out. I didn't just know this, right? It took me a few. And some people, God will shake them a little bit.
There'll be some pruning. There'll be
exactly. There's for them to realize that, okay, like there's more for me to do. There are people that are wanting to know this thing, like you just talked about, sir. So I think those are those are some of the things that really shaped me. I know that, like, for example, I have siblings. I have people that are looking up to me. I can't mess up, like, and I can't give my enemies the luxury
to rejoice over your
rejoicing. Exactly. So I think that understanding and having like mentors are big. I'm so big on mentorship, like, meeting the pastors I have right now was one of the biggest things that changed my life. Like, was because, like I said, I was a very confused kid. I did not really know. I mean, even till I started going to church really well, like that. But I didn't really know much about life or who I was, or even so international student. I was like, there's nothing there. Everybody has their own experience.
Mentors guided you.
So mentors were a big part of what shaped me, and what you listen to, the people you are around. You know what I mean? Say, like, what you are listening to, what you are consuming, right? Would really help in shaping. You begin to, if you're someone a Christian, you work with the Holy Spirit or not. The Holy Spirit also begin to show you some things. And even if you are not, what you consume, it will show. It will show. Right?
Once you're pressed. What you have in your inside
will come out. It will show, right? And I think for me, having, like I said, someone like Father Dudu, people that, like my pastor, shout out to Apostle Emmanuel, people like that were around me, and I'm seeing what they're doing, and I'm like, I don't have a choice but to succeed. They are pouring life into me and my friends too. Like honestly, right? I think once you surround yourself, for someone like me that I didn't, some people are more grace, they can push themselves very easily on their own, right? But I wasn't like that. I needed some help. Right? I needed a few experiences. I needed some people to be there for me, like the person I talked about, that the teacher, the mom. I needed some people that were there, and like I said, I thank God for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's all God.
It's really all God.
Yeah,
but
it's all God. And at the end of the day, you know, like we said about our will, Scripture says He's the one that works in us both to will and then to do according to His good pleasure. So God is the focal point. He would help your heart to will, even to find the right association, to find the mentorship, you know, to have the right values. He works in your heart to will according to His good pleasure. So that's really, really amazing. Woo! Man, this has been powerful. This has been a powerful session, and
Thank you, sir.
I know that a lot of immigrant parents that have teenagers preparing to go into university would need to listen to this. Watch this with your teenage children or the ones in the university. Let them see Timmy, let them hear Timmy talk. And I would say that it's been a very insightful session. I've learned a lot as well. And I have a 12-year-old that very soon too, time flies. We're planning to go into the university as well. So I have some insight as well into what we'll be looking at and what he should be expecting. And of course, some of the social skills that he needs to build. And I think this is a very powerful flavor we've brought into our conversations on Echoes of Wellington, where we're hearing from a guest who came in as a 16-year-old girl, alone here, no parents, and how she's navigated her life in the past 7 years and where she's at right now, the school experience, the university experience. And I think, man, this is a powerful resource for parents that have children planning to go to university, or you're in Africa, you're planning to just ship your kids, put them in the plane, send them to any part of the world to go study. You need to understand what they are going into. You need to understand the seriousness, the severity of the culture shock they would meet. And, you know, you as a parent needs to better prepare. The children need to better prepare. You need to have somebody over there who will be willing to take them in and guide them. A lot of kids have gone astray, all in the name of, I want my child to go and school abroad. And they fall into wrong hands. They become victims of so many terrible things. And parents lose their children. You spend $60,000, 50, 40, 30, but yet your child comes out from that university and they are useless because they were not properly guided. That's a powerful conversation we've had with Temi today. And the book, you find it on Amazon. It's titled A Word for an International Student. And you can always refer to this conversation because she's spoken about almost everything in this book. So that's wonderful. We have it on audio. We have it on audio visual. So that's it. That's a wrap for us today on Echoes of Wellington on this episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. If you found this very insightful, you have any story to share, please send comments into our YouTube channel. We would respond. And please subscribe to this channel, as we've always said. That encourages us to continue moving. And so Temi's voice, the 16-year-old that is now 23 or 24 in Canada,
24.
doing great stuff. Her voice has just been added to our sanctuary of powerful immigrant voices that will echo across time.
Echoes of stories that are dead. Echo with Wellington.